Yo, welcome to this edition of We're Up Next, season
Yes,
3.
sir.
Yes, sir. I'm one of your co-hosts, Andre Lacey, with my guy.
Johnny Hill, man, and this is an amazing day and an amazing opportunity. We always love shining light on people. Twin, who are we shining light on today, man? Go ahead, give them to her, man.
Oh, yes, sir. We are so honored to have Miss Jasmine Steverson joining us today. She is an anchor, reporter, and producer at Delta News in Greenville, Mississippi. Jasmine, welcome to We're Up Next.
Thank y'all so much for having me. I am truly privileged, and I'm also honored that you guys even considered me to join y'all. And congratulations on 3 seasons of We're
Thank
Up
you.
Next. That's dope.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, it's crazy. We started this in college and really didn't really start like putting out episodes until like really recently. So
Hmm.
it's an amazing a blessing to do for sure.
Yes.
But enough about us, Jasmine. It's about you
Oh
because
yeah.
we try to light on you. So, Jasmine, let's go ahead going deep into this right quick. Okay,
Okay.
what made you want to get into broadcast journalism? Who inspired you? Because we all look at somebody. I know I looked up to, of course, everybody, Stephen A's, the Rob Parkers, that's my guy. A lot of the people
Hmm.
in the industry, we all looked up to a lot of different people. Andre looked up to Tamron Hall and different people like that. So like who do you really look up to?
Oh my goodness. Well, it's an interesting answer because there is no one single person
Really?
that I could point to that made me just say, "Hey, I want to get into it." It really started with my dad. My dad was my first introduction to sports. So I'm the youngest of 4 girls, and we have pretty significant age gaps between us. And so, for example, myself and then the third youngest, there are 6 years between she and I. And my dad, he was an educator for like decades, maybe like over 4 decades, right? And so he spent the majority of his time in the Hollandale School District, where all of us were educated, public schools, my hometown, Hollandale. And so my dad, by the time I came along, he was like pretty established, just in terms of his role within the school district. So he spent time as an assistant basketball coach. He was the assistant when our girls basketball team, I want to say it was 92 and 93, then 93 and 94. I want to say they went to, and I hope I'm not misquoting what happened. I mean, just in terms of their record, but they went um, they went 2 straight seasons with a winning record. So they were 32 and 0, I want to say, and they won back to back championships, the girls basketball team. So I mean, it really kind of just started with him. Like he called the high school football games for quite a bit. I would, ride to the game with him. And so everything that I learned about sports really started with him, watching the football games. I sat under him and watched the football games. And if there was like something that I was curious about, hey, what does this mean? What does that mean? He was pretty much the one that would, share with me. And now, in terms of broadcast, definitely grew up watching ESPN, Stuart Scott. And then one thing that we watched religiously, even if we didn't actively watch it, everybody knew who Oprah was.
Yeah, for sure.
So, growing up, seeing Oprah on TV, watching her engage the audience and, asking these really, having these really riveting interviews and asking these questions, like, and then what intrigued us, especially those of us, I want to say, like in Mississippi, with her being from Kosciuszko, Mississippi. So it's like, man, this lady is from Mississippi and she's
Yeah.
like in Chicago. And I mean, she pretty much owns Chicago almost.
Yeah.
Almost, and she's doing this. It's like, so, same with you guys, like Stephen A. Smith, watching watching First Take, I think that really kind of um I think kind of like etched it for me because I really enjoyed it. Like I know, everybody has their opinions
Yeah.
about, how the show has evolved over the years, but I feel like that show really, in terms of its consistency, I mean, I have to give it its props. When you have, I feel like they're very intentional about making sure there are varying perspectives um, that they feature on the show and all the different sports and everything. So that's like my favorite one of my favorite things about it, seeing the athletes come on there, and talk about, their stories, whether they're getting ready to enter the draft or what have you. So, um, yeah, I can't name just one
Yeah.
person because it's just like, even inside the NBA, like watching inside the NBA, I'm just like, this is, yeah, like this is a cool realm to be
For sure.
Oh yeah,
in.
oh yeah. I find it so interesting because Johnny mentions Stephen A all the time, and I can't tell you how many people I know who are like, Stephen A is the GOAT, and if it isn't Stephen A, I'm hearing Shannon Sharp. So I get it. I totally get it. I
Mhm.
really do. Um, in terms of broadcasting, did you ever think that you would go into broadcasting? Because from the research that I've done on you, you actually
Mhm.
majored in English and literature. You didn't even major
Mhm.
in journalism per se. What made you
Mhm.
decide that this was a chance that you would actually take?
So I was very leery, I'll say, about pursuing broadcast journalism. I'm gonna say with vigor. One of the reasons is just because of my own. I'm gonna say I had a really strong um or lacking knowledge base, like a basic knowledge, because when I was growing up, um, even though I watched plenty of sports broadcasting programs and what have you. For whatever reason, the thought of pursuing it for myself, it just seemed, it really kind of seemed out of the realm of possibility for me. And I don't know if it was kind of like a cultural thing because most of the successful people that I knew growing up, or I guess my idea of success, it kind of centered on, going to school, getting, your master's and something, your master's in education. Most of the successful people I knew were in either education, they were like kind of in the medical field, things like that. So I think a lot of it just had to do with who I saw. And I think I associated like what I saw the most with or I thought maybe it correlated with what I was able to do. Not really thinking like, what, just because you're not surrounded by it or you don't have, maybe people in close proximity with you that do that, it doesn't mean that it's not something you can't do. And I didn't really like my mindset didn't really shift or didn't really kind of evolve beyond that until like much later. So English, it was always my strong suit, right? Um, for a good bit of my college career, I saw myself going to law school. I really did. And I felt like, hey, if you know you're gonna probably get good grades in English, why not major in English? I didn't want to be one of those students. I'm not gonna lie. I was one of those students like, I ain't doing 5 years. I'm trying to get out of here in 4 years. So, let me go for what I know.
Yeah.
And so English was in my minor was in mass is in mass communication. So I did take, some journalism courses because I really did like I came close to excuse me to pursuing it. But it's so funny, y'all. I'm not even gonna lie. I remember inquiring about it, and I don't know who it was that I asked or who I first heard it from, but I remember hearing that, oh, journalists, they don't make a whole lot of money. And I ain't gonna lie, they kind of did it for me when I,
Yeah.
I said, well,
Yeah.
I won't be majoring in this. And so that's kind of like in terms of majoring in English and not really pursuing it, in college, that was that was more or less kind of it. I just had my mind on going to law school. I took the LSAT one time. I was like, I don't know about this. I ain't trying to spend that much money, trying to get a law degree. But I wanted to get a law degree to work in sports. I actually, in my head, I'm like, well, maybe most of the sports agents I know have law degrees. Maybe, I can get a law degree and, go up there. But I knew that I wanted to work in sports some kind of way.
Sure.
Hmm.
That's really is cool.
Oh yeah.
Um, Jasmine, from Mississippi, went to the University of Mississippi, went to Ole Miss.
Hmm.
How does it feel to be on TV in Mississippi? Really, like how does it feel? Like, did you ever really dream about like being in Mississippi and still being on TV? Like you're from Mississippi and you're on TV. Because I take pride in where I'm from, even though like I'm not there currently. I still love where I'm from. So how does that really feel to be on TV where you grew up, where you from?
You know what? I have I have this thing about like I tell people sometimes like especially if they don't know me that well, and then if they feel comfortable enough, they'll eventually say like they'll either tell me I'm hard to read or I'm kind of so this is what I'm getting at. I tell people, well, I don't really emote a lot. Like I don't, you know, and it's not that I don't get or I'm not excited easily because I am. It's just that I'm just my demeanor is just always kind of just like,
Cool and chill.
is very chill. And so I have to be honest, like it took a while for it to sit in that because to me, because I grew up watching this station, it's kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm on TV, but it ain't really no big deal, you know what I'm saying? Like in my mind, I'm like, it's a handful of us, on TV. Because once I started doing it, I was like, you know what, like, I mean, this is really cool, and I'm grateful and everything. But I'm like, I guess I just did not think of it like that. Like, man, I'm really on TV, and I can't even tell y'all why it took a while for it to set in. I really can't. I guess because I'm just always on to the next thing when I'm working because along with being the weekend anchor, Monday through Wednesday I'm in the field reporting on things. So I don't know if it's because like my mind is always on to the next thing. I didn't really give myself a chance to just be like, oh, like, this is actually um I guess kind of I don't really want to say big deal. I don't want to say big deal or anything, but it's just like, man, I am on TV, but it hadn't really registered with me how, other people may look at it like, oh, she's so it's now, I mean, I have to almost hear it to be reminded like, girl, people are really like at home watching you and yeah, I'm struggling to find the word
Yeah,
to
yeah, we
to
understand though.
describe, what it's like because honestly, like I go in the store just kind of like I was when I was writing for a newspaper, kind of like, oh, I do very quickly forget that my face is on TV. I'm not gonna lie. So when people stop me sometimes, I be like, I don't really know why, they stopped me, but that was nice. Like I do, I do tend to forget. I really, really do. I do.
Oh yeah, yeah, I know. I get it. I get it. My mentor just recently retired from TV news, and one of the things she told me, along with other people that I know, is that people would come up to them all the time and say, "Well, let's take a picture," and they're like, "Wait a minute, my hair isn't right, or I don't have any makeup on, or
Hmm.
they it's odd when you're trying to go grocery shopping and people are approaching you asking you for a picture and things like that. I get it.
Hmm.
I really do. I
Yeah.
really do.
But
Um
I take it. I be like, look, I don't want anybody to have the illusion that I look like this all the time. Come on, let's take this. Let's take this picture. It is what it is.
yeah, it is what it is. Look, last thing you want them to say is she's mean, or she's way different than
Hmm.
she is, on TV.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I get it. I get it. Um, when it comes to um being on television, what is one thing that you maybe know now that you didn't know when you first started?
Ooh, one thing that I know now that I didn't know when I first started because I didn't have anything to compare this experience to. So it's kind of like I found myself wondering, is it this way at all? Broadcast stations, that's one curiosity that I ended up having and I still do have, because this is my first experience working in broadcast. And I have to say, one thing that I know now that I did not know is that there are times when, you know what? I'm gonna make it real simple. I have a real simple one. Um, Time is really all about time. Um, no matter what, if the show ends at 10:28:10, the show ends at there's no deviation from that. That's when the show ends. It don't matter if you got a whole VO left to read or whatever. The show is gonna end at that time, whatever that time says on that rundown. So therefore, when you hear, the director in your ear saying, "Hey, you got such and such time to wrap," the objective then becomes, let me just make sure I end the show in a manner in which, like, I it doesn't deviate too much from, the script. You know what I'm saying? Like you still want to be um somewhat, kind of prepared to, if you need to, wrap up quickly, even if you miss, or even if you don't get the opportunity to, read whatever copy is left. So I don't think that I really didn't have a good grasp of that, but before I started, like how sometimes, you gotta, that time is that time to get out of there. Yeah.
Man, that's amazing. Jasmine, I got one more question, then we're gonna wrap it up. Man, it's really been
Okay.
great to have you on.
Yeah.
I
What is
enjoy
your
talking to y'all.
advice? What is your advice to the young girl or young man in Mississippi who's trying to do what you're trying to do? What advice you got for them?
My advice is definitely um ask possible, or if you feel compelled to ask something about broadcasting or the field, do it. Don't don't change your mind about it. Go ahead and ask the question, because regret is a hard thing to sit with. You want to avoid all of those. Man, if I had to just make very little room for the if only I had, those if only I had moments, I feel like, they can come back to haunt you.
Yeah,
So try to avoid those. If only I had a did X, Y, and Z. Hmm. Because even for me, if only I had went on ahead and pursued broadcast journalism with vigor, and I, had that, and my mindset was, it was just totally, it wasn't conducive to pursuing it. I wish it was, but it wasn't when I was in college. So,
man,
hmm
that's real. And Jasmine, we really do again, like we appreciate you for coming
Thank
on.
you.
Hey,
of course.
And Jasmine, let me tell you this. We love your
Hmm.
story, and that's why you're up next.
Oh
Everybody go
yeah,
follow
you're
her,
definitely up next.
tune into what she's doing. She really is up.
Thank y'all.
We love having you on the show.
Yes,
I
Follow her.
yes.
appreciate you guys.
Yeah, for
Come
sure.
back again. Come join us.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Come back.
let me know.
Yeah.
I'm like Dion. I ain't hard to find. Let me
Hey,
know.
hey, it's always fun. It's always fun. And Jasmine, we look
Oh,
forward to have you on even more. And we love to just to see like your career evolve because you know what I'm saying? Who knows? You might not just be in Mississippi, you might be somewhere else, you know what I'm saying? So it's only
mhm.
up from here, you know. So like thank you
Absolutely.
again
Like you, Johnny.
yeah, appreciate that. I'm trying, you feel me?
Johnny from Cor. They have to remind me how to pronounce it. Lake Cor.
Lake
I
Corman,
get a little
in Lake Corman, in Lake Corman.
Lake Carmen. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Johnny
smile.
from Lake Carmen.
You know? Well, like,
That's
thank you
what's up.
everybody for tuning in to Where Up Next. This is my brother Andre Lacey. Hey,
Sir.
man, Andre, you got any more words to say before we exit out?
Yes, sir. We are
Out of here.